Max books came about because I often receive letters from children asking me about being a writer or telling me about books that they've enjoyed. And I started to think it would be really nice to do a book full of letters, but between an author and a little boy. The Max stories are aimed at children of around 7 to maybe up to 10. Max himself starts off at 9, so he's 11 by the time the third book, by the third story. But children do like to read books about children slightly older than themselves. The little boy starts off just writing a fan letter, but then they begin a regular correspondence, and so you find out a lot about the little boy's life, and also you find out about the author's life. And the little boy is actually being bullied at school. He's lost his father, so he's a little bit needy, but he's also quite a character. And he also is interested in writing, and he starts to tell the author about the book that he started writing. So within the correspondence, you then find out actually quite a lot of information about how a story is constructed, which became a sort of second element to the book, that I thought actually it's a very good way to give children information about how to structure their own stories. And then I wrote a second one called Bravo Max, which continues Max's story, and you find out even more about the author as well. But in this one, you also find out how to write plays, because there are lots of in English in schools, children are encouraged to experiment with all sorts of different types of writing. So I thought, well, in this one we'll do plays. Then I did a third book called Relax Max, in which we find out about how to write poetry, different elements of writing poetry, all the while finding out more and more about Max and his life and the changes that are happening, because of course he's growing. These books came out once a year, so he's growing at the same time. They were actually the devil's own job to write, because within each letter you could have a full story with a beginning, a middle and an end, but the book itself had to have a beginning and a middle and an end. It still had to be structured like a regular story. And I remember having letters strewn all over my sitting room carpet as I played around with different parts of each letter to restructure, to make sure that I'd got a beginning, a middle and an end, and that there was a proper climax towards the end. And by the time it came to the third book, which I actually asked my publisher, would you like to do a third Max book? And I thought to myself, as I was asking this question, why am I doing this? Because it's been such an absolute nightmare to structure. Max stories are currently just available in ebooks in this country. There is some talk about them being reissued as books. I guess that would be in the next couple of years. I'm certainly going to push for it, and if necessary, maybe I'll even self-publish them, because I think they do have a very good place, not just as books for children to read at home, but I think they have a very good place in schools because of the fact that they have that second element.